All right, so problem 615 out of Brigham and Houston Fundamentals of Financial Management Concise Ninth Edition. Again with the expectations theory. So we're given some information on a 1 year and a 2 year treasury. So the 1 year treasury and the 2 year treasury. We're told that the real risk-free rate is 2%, and it's going to be 2% whether you lend for 1 year, 2 years, or gazillion years. The 1 year treasury bond is yielding 5%, and the 2 year is yielding 7%. By definition, the liquidity premium and default risk premium is 0 on all treasuries. When we're using expectations theory, the assumption is that maturity risk premium is also 0. So the only difference in between the 5% here and the 2% R star or the real risk-free rate, this has to be the average inflation in year one. Okay, now the average inflation over the next 2 years is 5%. Okay, and that's just decomposing the interest rate here. Now, before I get to calculating the geometric average, well, let me do geometric average first. Why not? I could invest in a 1 year treasury security today and then reinvest for 1 year in the future. So I would earn 1 plus 5% and then reinvest that at 1 plus X, and that would give me the same yield under expectations theory as 1 plus 0.07 times 1 plus 0.07. All right, so what that's really saying is that the average interest rate over a 2 year period is 7%, which means that you could earn 5% plus X and earn the same average. All right, so that'd be 1.05 times 1 plus X would be equal to 0.07 squared, or 1.1449. Divide both sides by 1.05, then 1 plus X, the 1 year rate 1 year from now, would have to be equal to this divided by 1.05. And then I subtract the 1 from both sides. X would be equal to a hair over 9%. Okay, so what that's saying is if this real risk-free rate was staying the same, that must mean that inflation's going to rear its ugly head, but we could see that from here. The average inflation over 1 year is 3%. The average inflation over 2 years is 5%. Okay, so if I take inflation by year, in year 1 and year 2, if it's going to average 3% this year, then how much is it going to have to be in this second year? So that the average over the 2 years would be 5%. And that's pretty easy. This has to be about 7% because 3 plus 7 is 10. Divided by 2 will give you 5%. That's the average over here. So the answer is, what inflation rate is expected during year 2? 7%. Comment on why the average interest rate during the 2 year period differs from the 1 year. Inflation is expected to increase. By the way, that's what we're sitting on right now. Inflation's at historical lows, and everybody keeps on waiting for it to explode. But we've been waiting for, 7, 8 years now, and it still hadn't happened. So sooner or later,